Go ahead and get started. So, welcome to the retreat day for the first module. There is a retreat day for all of the 13 modules. Generally, we're going to try to keep it as the Saturday that follows the very last class, the discussion class. That may not be true for next month. I'm not sure. I think as we get right up again, well, maybe it is because the 16th, I think, is the so well, I don't know. We'll have to see. Just check the calendar because it's right around Christmas. So I'm not sure exactly if it um but we'll try. I mean, of course, we're not going to schedule anything on a major holiday. But we're going to try to keep it the Saturday following the discussion class as best we can, if not, the Saturday after. That most likely. Okay, so it is a retreat day. So in general, it's best if you can try to maintain, just on your own, kind of the atmosphere of being in retreat today. So, when we have the lunch break, it's best not to, watch a movie or do it. It's best to just, maybe read material from the course and also, of course, eat food. But, don't try to immediately get on your phone and you want to, when you're in retreat, you um, take a break from, that sort of from entertainment and things of that sort. So you want to try to maintain that headspace, throughout the retreat. Um, so there are in the folder that you all have of materials, I believe there's 10 different meditations in total in that folder, some of which are just variations on the same idea, giving you a couple of different options for how to approach it in different ways. We're not going to do 10 different meditations today. FPMT recommends actually only four. We may do five, but so four or five today, and there'll be about 20, 30, minutes for each one. So, we do have time, before discussion. We'll probably try to fit in some group discussion as well. Um, but I think, could be that everyone that's here was also in the discussion group that we just had. But before we get started, we could spend, with the discussion groups are new, so typically we used kind of the retreat days also for unresolved questions, but could be that we've resolved those questions previously, but we'll just check in and see before we move in. Was there anything that is coming from, or questions, maybe that are more focused on the 10 meditations that are in the folder, because those are really also, they're for your resource in terms of your practice going forward. Of course, no one expects that you um, do, all 10 every week, or because next module you'll get more and you'll get more and you'll get more in every module going forward. So it's about kind of crafting a practice out of all of the options. But and I mean, it may not have come up. It may not come up until the module on presenting the path. But generally within what Lama Zopa recommends for thinking about that kind of idea is um, his recommendation is thinking about focusing on a major topic for about a month, um, and then switching to another major topic. And that is his approach, kind of for following the Lam Rim, the stages of the path. But the 2-year Discovering Buddhism program is sort of designed to do that. It's designed to kind of generally track the Lamrim as well. So certainly, you could, and these are all 6-week, well, in total, they're all about 8-week modules. So, you could spend the first month of each module, focusing on those meditations, and then the second month reviewing the module before, because you've got 6 weeks of instruction and then probably about 2 or 3 weeks before the next module starts. Um, so that's, one way of thinking about it is every 2 month break, half of it is current module, half of it is previous module. That's also spaced repetition for those of you who, want to think about the science of learning. You're also integrating what you've learned before. Okay, so yeah, so just is there anything that question wise, confusion wise? Jennifer.
Yeah, during the meditation where where they say, um, get in touch with your mind that is knowing and aware of that experiences things, you know what I'm talking about? Um, is that like, okay, I see things, um, is that kind of like, okay, well, I have a visual consciousness that sees things, and I have a consciousness that's aware of things. Is it kind of like that?
So the mind as knower meditation that you had, that one or
Mine that she did it as well as they did it in the
Mhm.
folder of meditations. Um, I was wondering if that's correct, where you she says to get in touch with the mind that knows and is aware of things. Is that kind of like, oh, okay, I have a visual consciousness. Oh, okay. I have a mind that thinks of things, that comes through it. Oh, okay. I have a mind that breathes. Is it kind of like that? Kind of like visual consciousness. I kind of struggle with it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it depends on the nature of the object that the mind is knowing, because we do have these six different consciousnesses, right? You've got the five bodily sense consciousnesses, and then you have the mental sense consciousness. So, um, if you're if it is an awareness that is through the five bodily sense consciousnesses, then that experience that you're going to want to stay with is just the sensory data itself. Like, so the sort of the mind absent of judging or elaborating on, what is happening. Just it's very difficult to um, break it down further, but you could kind of play with, you know, okay, I'm hearing music, for example. Well, music is not the mental sense consciousness, because the mental sense consciousness is only perceiving tone. It's only perceiving like pitch and duration and, you know, kind of frequencies. Um, your mental sense consciousness is interpreting that, there's speech is one kind of type of sound that we define as not having, musicality, not, just being a particular type of sound. But music is a different type of sound. And then of course there's um, verbal, the singing kind of, and also instrumental, music. Um, so, but that is stitching together kind of sounds in time, and then you're making a judgment. Oh, this is speech. This is music, or singing, um, based on what are the differences. And those differences are cultural. Like we've learned, because I mean, there could be, there's like also like Tibetan throat singing, right? Which like that, and that can sound, that's sort of discordant at some time. It's not, doesn't necessarily follow the same rules that, Western kind of singing. It can kind of, sometimes it sounds like nature sounds, or it sounds kind of even jarring sometimes. Whereas we've kind of learned that singing is very melodic, very pleasant, very, meant to be pleasing, meant to be kind of beautiful in a way. And so there's different cultural representations of what it even means to say that something is speech or something is singing. So you could also, there isn't necessarily a right or a wrong way. The idea is to develop wisdom about the process of cognition, the process of perception. So you could choose to do it in different ways at different times for different reasons. Um, you could you could try to restrain yourself from engaging in those kinds of following along behind what's happening in the eyes, the ears, and just say this is rough, this is smooth, rather than this is rough and this is unpleasant, or this is cold and this is aversive, or this is warm and this is, enjoyable, this is pleasant. We make those distinctions, those judgments based on what sensory data we have. So you could just try to say this is rough, and really try to stay with the experience of rough if you're touching something, or this is cold, or this is, or I'm hearing noise, I'm hearing sound, and the sound maybe has meaning, because also, how do we distinguish what is speech? We have to know that it has meaning, right? We have to know that it's communicating ideas. If there's a language, Swahili or something, we may not know that it's communicating knowledge, that it's communicating meaning. It could just sound like noises to us, because because again, it's a cultural, everything, we're actively constructing our understanding based on our past history and our culture and our previous experiences. Those are what are telling us what it is that we're experiencing, that this is speech, that this is music, that this is meaningful communication, rather than just nonsense noises. So, um, if you are, and then, of course, you could um, explore the elaborative, aspects of that too. Um, thinking, because if you're looking at your visual field, of course, it's very difficult not to say cup and light and table and, and those are all judgments, right? There is no, like, we're also constructing that. Um, so And then you could think, well, why, it's hard to say if you'd be doing something else, as if you go into like deconstructing those mental elaborations. Um, but within each one, you could think, well, what are the colors? What colors are arising? What shapes are arising? What, um, what size? What dimension? um, and then think how that relates to what you've assigned it, what label you've given it. Um, so there's all kinds of different ways of engaging in that meditation. Really, you're trying to become deeply aware of how the mind works. What is it the mind is doing? And what are the different parts of the mind doing? Because you might be seeing something, might be watching something, and then you're also hearing, something. Like if you're watching someone speak, you're looking at their physical form, you're also hearing their words. And so you've got two things that are happening simultaneously. Um, and you might be making judgments about, their emotional state, or um, who they are as a person based on how they're choosing their words. So you're trying to just take it all in and become aware of all of the things that are happening, all of the processes that are occurring um, in the five bodily sense consciousnesses, the mental sense consciousness. So that can seem kind of overwhelming, so in each session, you might kind of give yourself, tell yourself, in this session, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to just take, this one thing. I'm going to take the body as the object, and I'm just going to try to stay present with the physical sensations that are arising in the body. Next meditation, I'm going to take the mind as the object, and I'm going to stay present with the mental events that are arising in the mind. So, um, and then, next meditation, I'm going to focus on what is occurring in my auditory field, whatever that is, the sound of the air conditioner, the sound of the birds, whatever is occurring in my auditory field, that I'm going to just stay present with the changing nature of my auditory environment or my tactile environment, my visual field. Um, so rather than, not having any kind of plan and then kind of, getting lost in all of the different options before each session, kind of deciding this is the scope of this particular one meditation. And then anything that's not in that scope is a distraction, right? If you've decided that your auditory field is the scope, then if you start thinking about, mental events that are unrelated, then okay, I need to bring myself back to just my auditory field because that's what I decided is my object. Anything else?
I just want to say thank you for that question, Jennifer. That was very helpful, Venerable. Thank you.
All right, so we'll move in then to our first meditation. So you've all probably learned a bit about um, posture, maybe, in various classes. So, but of course, we're going to stay where we are and we're just going to try to get comfortable. So we're going to begin by settling into a stable, comfortable, upright position. So we think about our feet contacting the floor, and we think about maintaining an upright posture. Our hands we put in our lap, generally right hand over the left hand, with the palms upturned and facing toward the belly. And then the thumbs just gently touching. With our eyes, if we can, we keep them maybe 20% open. So we're allowing some light into our visual field. Make sure that our chin is just gently, slightly tucked inward. So we have a slightly downward gaze that's unfocused. We really just allow the body to fall into place, just letting the body hang on itself. And as we then move into letting go of whatever is happening around us, we concentrate just on the body and mind, constraining our awareness, not sending our awareness out to contact objects in our environment. Begin to focus our awareness in the present by becoming aware of the physical sensation of the air as it moves into and again back out of the tip of the nostrils. Breathing naturally, breathing normally, and just noticing, giving ourselves the instruction to notice whenever something other than that one physical sensation is arising in the mind. When we notice the arising of distraction, and without judgment or frustration, we just lift our awareness up from those distractions and place it back again and again on that one physical sensation. And then, as the mind begins to feel more calm, more focused, we generate an altruistic motivation. So we think of what our interest is in this course. What is it that we are looking for? Think, what would it mean if we found what we were looking for? Not just for oneself, but how would that improve our relationships? How would that allow us to be of service to others? We think that the real purpose of our time, our effort in developing these new habits, new familiarities, is to expand our potential, to gain greater love and compassion, wisdom, and that although we ourselves do benefit, we principally wish to be of benefit. And then with that motivation, just briefly return to attending to the breath, following the sensation all the way through the body, through the inhalation and exhalation. And on the next inhalation, follow that sensation down to the level of the heart. And then holding your awareness at the level of the heart, feel as though your subjective awareness becomes generated from within the heart center, not feeling as though one is looking down, but as though one's awareness dawns from within the heart center. And begin to attend to the river of mental events occurring in the mind, the flow of thoughts, emotions, memories, projections. Try to avoid becoming involved. No criticism, no rejection, no attachment. As though watching traffic from a window. And then try to catch the next thought or feeling. And then try to trace it backward in time. Why did that thought or feeling arise? And why did the previous one arise? Try to journey backwards in time, thinking of the mental events of the last hour, going back to getting ready, having breakfast, going back to the first moment of consciousness this morning. And trying to remember any dreams that you had before that. And going back to last night, are you able to discern any connections, any patterns between different states of mind, different thoughts, feelings? And continue going backward in time over the last weeks, months, over the last year, trying to find connections, patterns, And continue moving back through your past, watching the mental events unfold of your younger years. Going back even to yourself as a toddler, an infant, back to the moment of your birth, and then imagine this continuity of consciousness prior to that. One day before you were born, 2 days, and think before the moment of conception, this non-physical energy of the mind, this awareness. What experience might it been having? And begin to attend again to the mind in the present moment. watching the flow of mental events without engagement. And recognize that this process is unfolding into the future. To now begin to imagine moving forward in time, looking at the different possibilities. Again, trying to recognize the connections between today's mind, tomorrow's mind, and so on. And follow this process up to the moment of your own death, the moment when mind and body separate. And then imagine the possibilities again for this awareness, this non physical energy of the mind, past the moment of death. And then when you're ready, we'll come back together. Then we'll take a moment to do what's called dedication, which may be familiar with. Just after the first session, we recollect that we established an altruistic motivation. Then we engaged in a meditation that was intended to actualize that motivation. So we think that it has done so. It has generated positive energy in our own minds. So imagine how you would like to offer the fruit of your practice, that positive energy, all of the ways in which you wish when that positive energy ripens, may it bring beneficial effects. All of the spiritually supportive causes and conditions that your effort, your energy will bring about. All right. Are there any questions or reflections on the first meditation? So let's take a 10-minute break. You may want to, can be helpful to just maybe jot down, your thoughts on that experience just for yourself. But we'll come back at 3 after 11 Mountain Time. All right, welcome back. So, have there been any questions that have arisen in anyone's minds? Yes.
So it's, I think one of the interesting things for me is the imagining your death and then starting the imagining your future life, imagining the bardo and how you might be reborn. And I'm not sure what to do with that, or if it's necessary to try and follow that, or just leave it as unknown, I guess.
I mean, so I think that in general, the purpose of the meditation on the continuity of mind is for us individually to get a sense of this unbroken, continuity that is the mind. So, and also for us to to see how, because we looked at the past and we're looking at so it's kind of like when we look for these connections, also you're seeing like, oh, when I was like this, maybe, we had maybe a rough patch in our 20s or something. I think everyone kind of just survives their 20s. It's like we made it. That's my own experience. Like, I'm just grateful I wasn't, that I got through it. um so, but like, why, like, what was going on, like what was happening in the mind that led to, that kind of, well, I guess maybe we went down like a rabbit hole for a while that wasn't productive, and then we learned something new and we made a change and we started to maybe go in a more useful, more a direction that felt more beneficial, more constructive, more uplifting, more supportive. um, and so that's also important, like seeing these connections between what we were thinking, what we were doing, and then the effects that brought, you know. So I think it, in one way, I do think, it reinforces this meditation reinforces the effort that we're putting into our spiritual um, path in general, in the sense that we see how it isn't lost, how we see how, the time that we're spending, the energy that we're putting in, that that's creating today's mind, which is going to create tomorrow's mind, and that's going to create the mind after that. And if we do put a lot of time and energy and effort into that, then the results of that, we can we could imagine that those results are good and beneficial. Um, it could also be helpful in spotting, if we have some concerns, though, if we start to reflect on even habits or tendencies, because we're not enlightened, right? And for all of us, it isn't totally, we're all trying to make progress in various things, and people are different. Some people might struggle with this, other people might struggle with that. So we're also identifying in our present, what is it that we are having trouble with? What is it that we're, identifying as this area isn't going as well as I would like? And if we start to have some concerns about that, then that also gives us information about what to focus on and what to really put more effort into. Like, oh, I see that I have this consistent, in this kind of scenario, I tend to react like this, and that this is causing this kind of problem in my life. I tend to avoid this, or I tend to be, you know, negative about this, or this is causing relationship issues. And so it also gives us a lot of feedback about how things are going. Um, and if we start to think, oh, well, I'm not sure, if that next life is positive or negative on the basis of what I'm seeing and what's happening right now, then that really can help us to focus, and because we do want it, I mean, that is the goal ultimately. We do want it to be a positive experience. And if we think, oh, well, I've got this clinging or this grasping, and so at the time of my death, when I'm imagining it, I'm freaking out about this or that, then we know, oh, okay, that's good information to have, because between now and then I can make progress on the things that, even in my imagination, like, I'm anticipating are going to be an issue for me. Um, because I mean, that ultimately, that is what we do want is, we want to be able to experience it well, and we do want it to go positively. Um, and we see how that is entirely dependent on what the content of our mind is at that time, and how we generate that content between now and then. Um,
Thank you.
Anything else? All right. So we can move into the second meditation then. So again, we just try to sit comfortably. We'll move into this maybe a little bit more quickly, since we've gone over the steps. So once you feel that you've adopted a stable, comfortable, upright position, and again, we'll just spend a couple of minutes taking the breath as the object, to concentrate and quiet the mind. And then again, when the mind feels more calm, we reassert that altruistic motivation that we've established. With that motivation, return to observing the breath, attending to the breath, trying to stay present with the subtle variations that occur during the in breath and the out breath. And then very slightly relax your focus by becoming aware of the fact that your observation of the object of the breath is occurring within the field of awareness itself. That the fact that you can attend to one sensation, one object, depends upon the field of awareness in which that object is arising. This field of awareness is present before each in-breath, after each out-breath. And it permits the mind to focus on any individual object of awareness. And try to focus more on this stage of the mind. The vast, open, spacious awareness itself. Each time that you become aware of an individual object of awareness, try to allow it to remind you of the spacious, open nature of mind. And just allow it to arise, abide, and pass away. by identifying with this luminous, open stage of the mind. Recognize that you can always come back, you can always attend to these quiet places between the thoughts, the feelings. You can always choose what to attend to, what to let go. And then when you're ready, we'll come back together. And once again, we recollect the altruistic motivation that we established, recognizing that we engaged in another meditation in order to actualize that motivation and feel strongly that we've accomplished that goal and we have generated positive energy in the mind. And that positive energy will ripen in beneficial, supportive ways. So, how would you like that positive energy to ripen? Feel very strongly that you offer it in all of those vast, expansive, constructive ways. All right. Any questions, thoughts? Do you guys want to break for lunch now and come back at 1 rather than 1:30? Or what do you want to do?
I vote for now.
Any objections? Is that a problem for anyone's schedule?
Fine for me.
Okay. So as I mentioned, try to, not pop a movie on while you're try to, maintain a retreat kind of environment. Maybe do some writing, some reflecting as you're in the break time, some related reading perhaps, but uh, all right. So we'll come back at 1 rather than 1:30 because we're ending half an hour early.